Happy Friday, everyone! My name is Ellen, and I'm at Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet. And on Fridays, we go live to tell you what's new, what's happening in the store, what's happening out in nature. And today is no different. That is what the lineup will be today. But first, I want to talk about some of our pretty awesome events that are coming up in September. Here tomorrow, we will be having Crosstown Exotics. They are bringing an assortment of insects and reptiles and amphibians for a fun little meet and greet. They are here from 11 till 1, and they will have the tables with all the animals, and you can either see, touch, or hold, depending on what kind of animal it is. But it should be a really, really fun time. Last year when they came, it was in July, and it was awfully humid and hot. But I know this weekend is supposed to be hot, but I don't think it'll be quite as hot as it was when we were in July. So it should be really, really fun and exciting. So definitely come by for that. They had a pretty massive bullfrog last time, so that was pretty cool. And a couple other cool lizards that my kids really liked. So bring the kids, bring the fam, and it'll be a fun activity to come and see. It is free, so you just come in and enjoy the animals. That's what it's all about. All right. The other thing that is happening in September is we have a plant sale. And the plant sale is on the 20th. That is a Saturday, and the 19th, which is the Friday. So it's Friday and Saturday, both 10 to 4 p.m. I know I have to announce those plant lists for you. I just didn't have enough time today. But I will get it done this weekend. I promise. I will post that plant list for you. But a lot of good things from shrubs, trees, but also some plants, forbs, if you will, that are good for all of our wonderful wildlife in our backyards. So definitely come by for that, and stay tuned for that species list to be announced. All right. Also on the 20th, we have a pretty cool off-site event. Wild Birds Unlimited Joliet has partnered with the Will County Audubon Society to offer an eagle program from Who Haven. So if you remember when we had the snowy owl here at the store, that was Who Haven who brought the snowy owl. And we are doing the eagle program of theirs over at Pilcher Park. And that is on the 20th, Saturday the 20th, and it is at 1 p.m. Now, the thing with that program here is that there is limited seating, and there's a capacity for the room to keep all of the humans and the animals safe, but try to come if you can. Come early. The doors open at 12:30 to get into that room. Okay, so if you really want to see that bald eagle and you want to come to Pilcher Park, I definitely invite you to do that. We are also doing a super fun raffle drawing here if you bring in items to donate for Who Haven. So they have a whole list. If you want to go see it, just come by and grab one of the flyers here, or I believe the link is also on our website under the events. But if you scan the QR code, or if you go to the link on our website, you should be able to pull up that list of items that they're looking for donations. It's really simple stuff like a few towels. It could be gently used too, paper towels, toiletry items, things like that they need to keep their facility up and running. Remember, they are not only Wildlife Ambassador Group, which comes out and educates the community with their cool animals, but they are actually a wildlife rehabilitator center. So they are actually one of the biggest wildlife rehabilitators of pelicans. But they also do bald eagles and other critters, mammals, from snakes or the reptiles to birds and mammals. So they do pretty much everyone. But that facility and their volunteer work obviously comes with a cost. And whether that is a monetary cost that you would like to help donate towards, or if you would like to bring an item from that or more items from that wish list, definitely come by and drop them off. They would highly, highly appreciate it. All right. So it goes for a good cause. And then in return, you're going to get a raffle ticket for our raffle drawing. And it'll be some really great items that are coming from Wild Birds Unlimited. So, and you know how wonderful our items are and our gift baskets are if you've ever won one of our gift baskets before. So definitely come by if you can, make that. That'll be a fun activity for the whole family. Definitely a showstopper. The other thing that is coming up that I really want to talk to you about tonight is avian artistry. So avian artistry this is such a cool program, guys. I contacted Dottie from Dottie's Art Studio in Plainfield because they are one of our local art studios that gives art lessons. So Dottie and her team, they do lessons from everywhere from young children all the way up to adults. So they have a wide array of skills in their paint pockets, if you will, right? And, after reading the Backyard Bird Chronicles from Amy Tan and seeing all of her amazing sketches and drawings in here, I was just like, oh my gosh, how cool would it be to be able to draw any of these pretty birds that I'm seeing in my backyards? And even if it was just a sketch, I would have been happy for that. And it got me thinking, how many other people are like me that would be fascinating to learn how to do that drawing, how to do some of this art. I haven't been in school for a while, and I haven't taken an art class in I don't know how long, probably since high school or grade school. So definitely this was up the alley. So that's how this program came about. And we worked together, Dottie and I, to come up with this special class just for everyone here. So we're learning how to draw to painting birds. And how this class works is we're doing 2 classes here at Wild Birds Unlimited and then 2 over at Dottie's Art Studio. So the first 2 classes, which includes class 1 and class 2, so that would be the pencil sketching and the inks, are going to be here at Wild Birds Unlimited. And those classes are I'll give you the dates in here in a little bit, but they are going to be here. And then when it comes to the painting, like the watercolor or the acrylics, that's going to be all done at Dottie's Art Studio. So if you're like me and are really excited for this program, I definitely encourage you to sign up. Now, the program itself we have actually a really special cost because most of our classes are much more expensive, but for this special program, we've worked out a really, really good deal where essentially if you sign up for all 4 classes, they're $25 each. And that class, each class is including all your materials. So all the actual, pencils or inks or paints, and the medium that you're painting on. And you are leaving each of these classes with your own masterpiece. She will work with you to make sure that you are leaving with a completed something, or at least something that you can, to the point where you can put final touches on it at home. And if you're signing up for all of the classes, you can bring your previous artwork, and she will stay with you and try to work with, trying to get it perfect to your liking, making it the best that it can be for you. So definitely check it out. I put the link for this sign up here in the comments. So the sign up is through Dottie's Art Studio. It is at my.chatterup.com /birds 2025. That is that link that will get you to the sign up. All right. And then if you cannot make it or are unsure if you're not sure about a certain date or whatnot that might be coming up that might be a conflict, yes, you can sign up per class. All right, it's not saying if you can't make the first one, you can't do the other ones. No, that's not how it goes. We have it set up that you can do it per class, but the price goes up $5 additional. So it's $30 a class if you only sign up individual classes. So if you want to work something out, I definitely recommend you give Dottie a call and talk to her, and she'll work with you on, figuring out how to sign up for certain things if you're not sure if you're going to be able to make it, or not sure if you're capable of doing it. But I'm telling you, if you're like me and haven't picked up a art utensil in a while, this is a great opportunity to get back into it and express your passion for your birds right here with this really cool art class. All right, so definitely consider avian artistry. There are a couple of us from the store that are going to be participating as well. So if you love to hang out with us, your friends here at Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet, I highly recommend you do this after hours program so you can even hang out with us even more, because I know how awesome we are, right? Okay, so now that we've gotten events kind of out of the way, I'm not going to do all the events that we have scheduled for September, but that was a good majority of them. We'll keep talking about them the rest of the weeks leading up to some of the other ones, but I just wanted to fill you in on all the good details before some of the space slips up and fills up on you, because this class is not there is a max capacity to it. So be sure you sign up. If this sounds like it's something up your alley, or you know a friend or a young adult that this would be up their alley, definitely sign them up for it. Okay, because the seating, there is a max capacity. All right, so be sure that you sign up now before the seating is all filled up. Okay, now the other cool things that we have coming that are happening right now with our birds, I don't know about you, but a feeder activity is a really great there's lots of things happening outside. And a couple things are that we still have hummingbirds in our area, so that is super, super fun. Some people are still seeing some orioles that are coming through. When we start dipping into cold weather, they tend to head out of town. So with that cooler weather that we had last week, I just wasn't sure if we still had orioles around, but I was informed by some of our customers that they have been seeing some orioles still. So that's exciting. So if you can put out some jelly, and maybe you'll be one of those lucky few that gets a oriole in your yard during fall migration. On my bird outing this past Monday, I witnessed a ton of warblers. So one of the big highlights was the black and white warbler. So if you're not sure what a black and white warbler is, I highly recommend you go look it up. Grab your Birds of Illinois or your Peterson, or go onto Google and type in the black and white warbler, because that was a showstopper for sure. But another bird that I was fascinating and totally bird nerded out on the bird outing was a red-breasted nuthatch. I know, guys. I know. It was so exciting. So I know you're thinking, well, it's a nuthatch. Well, the thing is that we in Illinois can actually have two different species of nuthatch. So the one that you typically see all year round is your white-breasted nuthatch. And he is that iconic white-bellied, he has a white face, but he has that gray, almost blue back. And you often see him hopping up or down, climbing on the trees. And he often makes a nice, funny call that I kind of say sounds like a laughing, like, ha, 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 ha. So if you hear the nuthatch in your yard, keep a look at the trees, because likely he's hopping around laughing at you, as I like to say. But that's a really cool sighting that I saw, the red-breasted nuthatch, which is actually a little bit smaller in size than your white-breasted nuthatch, but his coloration is much different. He actually has, he or she, because they could be both, either one, right? It's kind of hard to tell with nuthatches since both sexes look the same. or at least very similar. But the red-breasted nuthatch has a red or almost rust-colored chest. Okay, it's not completely white like the white-breasted nuthatch, but that contrast with that gray bluish color back is, oh, chef's kiss beautiful. All right, it's just stunning, and it is special because we don't always get them down here. And what I mean down here is that they actually come here for winter. They spend their winters here in Illinois as an overwintering spot. But sometimes they don't come this way, and the reason for that is it all is up to how the boreal forest, way up north, how it produces. So if it produces a lot of seed and nuts, then some of our wintering birds don't actually come all the way down because there's no need to. They have enough food resources to make it up all the way up north and not stay and not make the big travel to follow the food. But perhaps this year we may actually be lucky and the boreal forest might not actually produce as much food, thus giving us a huge influx in some fun winter visitors. Now with September here, we also might see one of our wonderful favorite winter visitors, our dark-eyed juncos. They do return in September, so keep your eyes open, particularly underneath your feeders. They tend to hang out on the ground, eating a seed off the ground, or perhaps around the mix of your sparrows. They kind of hang out with the sparrow group too. But it's kind of a fun time. The seasons are changing, and we're starting to see new characters at our feeders, which is always a fun time. So be sure you're keeping those eyes open. The other thing that's happening right now is that we're still seeing a bunch of baby action. And it's not so much that we're seeing them in the nests anymore, but we're seeing these young adults, the young children that are slowly growing into adult birds, coming to our feeders. So today I spoke with Karen, who was talking about a red-bellied woodpecker that had no red at all on its head. And we were talking about how it's a juvenile and that they will molt into the color, whether it's a male, and that color goes from the nape of its neck all the way up to its head, making that pretty red mohawk, if you will. The females don't have the whole mohawk. They actually have kind of what looks like a bald spot, if you will, because the red really starts almost at the back top of the head, right at the very back, and goes down to the nape of the neck. So that's how you can tell the difference between those birds, which is pretty fascinating. Been seeing a lot of goldfinch baby action at my feeders here at the store and at home. So that is really, really exciting and a lot of fun, and a little bit noisy too, if I may admit. But it's definitely fun, and it's kind of a cool way to see what our goldfinches will be molting into soon, because September also starts goldfinch molting season. So it's definitely important to keep up with high protein foods and put out that fresh water so that we are providing for birds that are still in molting or might be migrating, because they are going to need a lot of energy to complete either molting or migration. It's a lot of high energy intensive tasks, and we can help just by simply offering things in our backyards that's going to make a difference. So offering that water, offering that food. Now, speaking about water, if you have heard or maybe not, Illinois is in a drought. And in fact, Will County is in a drought and has been in a drought. So what happens with droughts is that it makes it much more difficult for birds to find food and water. Obviously water, because little pools are starting to dry up that were naturally there in the spring and summer. But as the drought continues, we're starting to lose some of our natural water resources. And you can make a big difference for birds by just providing water. But you can also do a big thing for them by providing extra food, because when we have droughts, sometimes our plants don't do as hot. And plants, we know, especially native plants, not only provide food itself, like say seeds, nuts, berries, but they also host insects. Okay, and birds are banking on those insects to help make that trek back down for migration. So be sure you keep that food out there and help them out, because with this drought that we're having, it's going to make it harder for them to find natural resources. And the competition is going to be high, because as birds move through, we're going to have more new visitors in an area. And we already have our local crew here, and everyone is fighting for the same resources. And you can be a big, huge help if you just provide those natural things. Now, I see we have a question here in the comments, and I'm going to answer that because I think it's a really, really good question. So the question is that, well, I guess you're more answering my question about what you've been seeing in your yard. But the comment said, from Donna, she says that she's barely seeing the goldfinches since spring. They used to come with tons all the time, and now it's just one or two here and there. And this is the thing with goldfinches right now, is that technically they are still in nesting season. So you may have females that are trying for a second brood. And what happens is after they have that first round of babies, they kind of leave home and leave the kids with dad to start the second brood. All right. So what often I see is people are telling me that they have fewer goldfinches, and it may not be that they have fewer goldfinches, but you may have fewer females at your feeders, which in a sense is, I guess, less of the population that you normally are seeing. So that could be happening. Goldfinches, while they do not migrate out of Illinois, they do migrate. So they may be moving. The birds that you had in spring and summer may not be the same ones that you are now having in fall. So the goldfinches that were here earlier in the year might move slightly down south more, and then we will get the ones that were up further north, and as they move down. So the birds that your birds may not have been your birds the months before. I hope that makes sense a little bit. But it's important, especially with goldfinches, that we pay extra particular attention to their food, because we know how particular goldfinches are when it comes to food in feeders. They like it dry and they like it fresh. So be sure that you are, one, checking up in that feeder. Whether we have wet weather or it's just humid weather, it's worth going out there and giving your feeder a little shake. What that shake does is you are looking for clumping. If you see clumps of that thistle Niger that you usually get, or perhaps that you're using the finch blend or sunflower chips, all of those seeds, that small little seed, can stick together when it gets wet. And if it gets wet, your goldfinches do not want it anymore. They have no loyalty to wet food or dry or old food that is too dry and too old. Look at your seed. Okay, that's why we always recommend buying Niger or any of our finch food in small quantities. And the reason for that is that, one, you're going to be sure that that the seed is fresh and has that it has enough oil in it that they want. I have to run real quick because I see that my battery is going to die on this computer, and I want to get the charger real quick, so just give me 2 seconds, or you know what, let's just come with me and we'll take a walk and continue talking. But let's just say that goldfinches are very particular. So when it comes to your finches, you want to make sure that it's dry, make sure that you're buying it fresh, make sure you buy smaller quantities to make sure that you're keeping that seed from going stale. If you look at your seed and it does not look shiny any longer, there's potential that it could be too old or too dried out for goldfinches. All right, just wait for a second for me. I'm just gonna pop down here and plug this guy in, and we'll be back in business. I'm back. All right, let's get back to it. All right, so that is the big thing with goldfinches, is that they can be a little particular. The other thing you could do to test your seed is to do the potato chip test. So what you do is you take a piece of paper, say, I like the all white kind of paper, or even a Post-it note would work. Take a few grains of seeds and put it on a piece of paper. Fold it in half over the seed and take a pen or a pair of scissors and crush it. You should start seeing, either on the top or even on the inside here of the paper, that there are some little stains on the paper. Now, those stains are not there. That's the oil in the seed coming out. And if it has oil still, you know it's not a problem with the seed. So it's not you, it's them. All right, and that's just a natural thing that the goldfinches do, so don't worry about it. All right. So that's a big thing that's happening now, but I'm glad to hear that you're having lots of hummingbirds. That's always a really cool thing to see and take advantage of all their visits now before they leave. By the end of October, they'll be out of town completely. All right. The other thing I want to talk about today, because I still have to pack my car for an off-site event tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to be at Fall on the Farm, hosted by the Forest Preserve District of Will County. This event is at the Riverview Farmstead Preserve in Naperville. It is in Will County, but I will be there, and it's a cool, really cool activity thing where they're hosting all sorts of activities and crafts and things that are from back in the 1800s. So one of the coolest things I did last year was I spun wool. It was the coolest thing ever. So definitely, if you are out in that area or have come here, seen the crosstown exotics here from the reptiles, and then want to head over to Riverview Farmstead, definitely come by and stop and say hi to me. I'll be there from 11 till 3 p.m. All right? But before we get going here, there's one other thing I want to mention. Because with all the things that have happened in our country the past recent times, all those bad news with 9/11 that just happened yesterday, feelings inside can sometimes be hard to deal with, right? Sometimes it's even the loss of a loved one. Maybe it's you just are having an anxious time. Maybe you are having a hard time at work. There's a lot of things that could be triggering hard, difficult to manage feelings. And that could be anxiety, that could be stress, that could be depression. It could just be a heavy heart. And I just want to mention how healing birds are and just being in nature. The past couple of days I've been off of work just because that's my schedule. Off on Wednesday, Thursdays here at the store. I'm off at work here, but I'm always on mom duty, you know. But it's been a tricky couple days, and a couple months in fact in our country has been a hard time. And I think it's worth the reminder on the healing power of nature. That just being out in nature and giving social media and the news, the TV, a break, how powerful and healing that can be. And I just want to remind you that your birds have healing powers. They are pretty amazing. They are not only fun and enjoyable for us to watch, but they actually have magical powers that they can give to you. And just sitting out for 5 to 10 minutes outside can be so calming and relaxing. It is scientifically proven that watching birds and being out in nature, even not even physically being outside, but taking a moment to look out the window and watching your birds, It is proven to lower your heart rate. It is proven to lower stress hormones. Isn't that amazing? It's proven that if you are watching birds or out in nature, that it actually causes the sense of relaxation and rest. It counters the flight or fight response. So it's amazing the things that birds can do to help you heal from grief, from heartache, from stress, from just feeling angry, depressed, or sad. It's amazing what birds can do. And the other thing that I learned a lot in ornithotherapy is just that, is the healing powers. So one of the authors, that's Holly Merker, and you may also recognize these awesome names, Richard Crosley, the Crosley crew. Crosley does a lot of bird IDs. He has his own huge honkin' ID book. So he's a pretty awesome bird guy in the bird world. But Holly Merker, you may not have heard of that name necessarily before. She's also pretty amazing in the bird world. But she's really created this book after and during her battle with cancer. And she really attributes watching and being out in nature to healing her, helping her overcome cancer. Isn't that pretty amazing? So not only can it emotionally help, but it can actually cause physical help too. It can boost your immune system. It can help with creativity and productivity and help you focus. So there is a lot, while there is sometimes a lot of bad in the world, you know that right outside your window is something beautiful and something that sometimes you cannot replace. Okay, so if you are having a tough time and the world stinks, or you just are having tough personal problems, think about your birds. Go outside. Enjoy what birds have to offer. All right, and before I get all gushy and crazy because of all the things that are happening in our world and with 9/11, and remembering the horrible things that have happened that day, I want you to remember your birds, okay? And keep that smile on your face, all right? Because they are healers, and you don't have to be sad because the birds will heal you. All right, well, we'll see tomorrow, whether it's here at the store or out at Fall on the Farm. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I hope you do enjoy your birds. All right, you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday around 5:30-ish for our next Friday Live. All right, bye now.